Hey there, Aurelia here from withhisgifts.com. Welcome and thank you so much for stopping by. Today I have another video tutorial for you and we are going to create this lovely card. So let's go ahead and get started. The stamp sets that we're using today are Brushstrokes, Icing on the Cake, and Label Me Pretty. We'll also be using some dies. We'll be using the Flourish Thinlits, the Stitched Shapes Framelits, and the Layering Ovals Framelits. The ink colors that we're using today are Fresh Fig, Old Olive, Soft Suede, Sahara Sand, and we'll also be using the Stampin' chalk marker. And for our paper, I have my card base in the Soft Sky cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. I have a layer in the Sahara Sand cut at 5 by 3 1/4. Another layer in the Whisper White also cut at 5 by 3 1/4. I have a scrap piece of my Sahara Sand. This one happens to be cut at 5 1/4 by 4. I have a scrap piece of my Soft Sky cut at 4 1/4 by 1, and a scrap piece of the Whisper White cut at 3 by 2.5. And then I have a delicate doily. And some of the other things that we're using today are dimensionals, snail adhesive, paper snips, bone folder, and then a couple of cotton swabs. Let's go ahead and get started with our stamping. Here I have my Brushstrokes background stamp. I'm going to grab my Sahara Sand ink pad and then go ahead and ink up my stamp. I'm going to take some just regular old computer paper and then lightly, ever so lightly, rub my stamp to try to get some of that color off before I put down my layer, which is the Whisper White that was cut at 5 by 3 3/4. I'm going to go ahead and place that right there. Then again with my paper, put that down and then rub that. So then we end up with something that looks like that. Let's go ahead and set that aside. So we're not really done stamping this layer. We still have to stamp our gorgeous flowers. Hello. And for that I'm going to use the Icing on the Cake, and in particular this stamp and this stamp. I will also be using the Fresh Fig, so let me go ahead and open that up and get it ready, and the Old Olive. So let's get those ready. Now I have my stamps all mounted. What I am going to do here, I did some masking, and I have a mask here. You can tell I've used it a lot. I'm going to go ahead and stamp another one just so you can see what I did. Okay, and I'm going to grab my flower stamp, and in the Fresh Fig, it doesn't really matter what color, I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. Now I'm using masking paper. You can use, however, post-it notes to do this. What you do is just stamp your image and then you fussy cut around it like so. So you end up with something that looks like that. And with the masking paper, there is some paper on the back that you peel off to expose the little sticky part, and it's not sticky, it's reusable. What I usually do is on the inside of my stamp, I will stick it down like that. We're going to toss this one because this one has seen its last stamp, I think. But I will put it in there because you can get multiple uses from this. So let's go ahead and get started with our stamping now. So with that same stamp that I just stamped, I'm going to go ahead and ink it up in my Fresh Fig, and I'm going to put one on this corner here like that. So with that diagonal lines, horizontal, bottom left, and then I'm just gonna turn it around, bottom left again, do the same thing, okay? Just like that. The next thing that I want to do is grab the leaf, and we're gonna stamp that in the old olive. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my little mask that we created. Go ahead and peel that right off. So then what we do is just line that up with the image that we just stamped, and we're gonna cover that up. So with my old olive and my leaf stamp, I'm gonna go ahead and ink that up, and then I'm gonna come off here and then over a little bit and stamp. So I'm doing that twice. I'm gonna do that on each side of my flower for each of my flowers. And then when you pull that off, see how lovely that is? Let's go ahead and do that for the other side. So there is that layer. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to grab the smaller of the Whisper White, and then we are going to move on to the Label Me Pretty, and I am going to use the stamp and the You're the Best. So those two are mounted already. Here is where our little cotton swabs come in. I'm going to grab my fresh fig and my old olive, and then my soft suede. Okay? And I am going to, with the cotton swab, I'm going to load it up with my fresh fig, like that. And then I am going to apply color to the flowers that are on the stamp. Okay? Just like so. And it's pretty easy to determine where your flowers are. Some stamps you just don't know what they are until you stamp them, but this one's pretty simple. So there are my flowers. So there are 2 on one side and then 3 on the other side. So depending on which way your stamp is laying, there are either 3 on the top or 3 on the bottom, but you get what I'm saying, okay? Now I'm going to flip that over to my clean side, and I'm going to get some old olive, okay? Now, yes, you can do this with your Stampin' Write markers. You most certainly can. My Stampin' Write markers are not here at the time. The boys spent some time with their mom last weekend and took the markers with them in their little crafting little box, and they didn't bring them back. So I figured this is a good opportunity for me to show you how to use what you have if you don't have the markers, right? Because I'm applying color just like I would with the marker. Okay, so what I did, and I don't know if I was just talking and didn't explain, the stems and leaves were inked with the cotton swab and the old olive. So now I'm going to grab my second cotton swab, and I'm going to dip one of the clean sides onto my soft suede, and then the lovely little butterflies that are on each of the sides will get stamped in my soft suede. Okay? Just like that. So now what we do is take this, and we will flip this over, and this will get cut out with our stitched shapes in oval. So just keep that in mind and make sure that you just get it as close to the center as you can. We're going to go ahead and stamp that just like that. Look how beautiful that is. And then we're going to grab the You're the Best and ink that up in the fresh fig. Now this could be a little tricky because we can't see, so try your best to line that up straight with your edge, the edge of your block, so that when you're coming down, your chances of getting it right are pretty high. So, all right, so I'm inking that up. Then I'm going to come down right about there. Voila! Look at that. That was pretty good. All right, so let me get my ink pads put away, and then we'll be ready for the big shot. And here is what we have heading to the big shot. These two framelits come from the Flourish Framelits dies. This is from the layering scalloped. It is the second to largest scalloped oval, and this comes from the stitched shapes, and it is also the second largest stitched oval shape in that set. So I have my magnetic platform, acrylic plate, paper, dies, my second acrylic plate. We will be cutting this one twice, by the way. My second acrylic plate, and then I'm off to the big shot, and I will be right back. The next step is to grab your Sahara Sand ink pad and a sponge, and let's get to sponging some of these pieces. So with my sponge loaded in the Sahara Sand, I'm going to go ahead and sponge around my edges of all my pieces, including the layer that we stamped with our lovely flowers and stripes. We won't be inking or sponging the soft sky little border shape. This one here, I don't know what you call it, but this one. We won't be sponging that, but everything else around the edges with the Sahara Sand. Okay, so there they are. Sahara Sand is awesome for subtle sponging. You can hardly tell it's there, or you can hardly see it's there, but you can definitely tell that it's there. It's very subtle, and it is awesome. It's one of my favorites browns to sponge with. So we are almost ready to put this together. We have one final prep step, and that is this lovely little scalloped oval in the Sahara Sand. Let's go ahead and grab our Stampin' chalk, and I am just going to dot each of my little scallops in this, okay? Just like that, okay? So all the way around, go ahead and do that. And there you have that. Now we are ready to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and grab our other pieces. And by doing that, I completely forgot about this piece here that we will need to sponge. No worries, we can do that. Alrighty then, let's grab our doily. We will cut it in half, and then again in half. We're going to use those two pieces, and we're going to put this one away for another project. And let's go ahead and get this thing together. And we did not sponge our card base. We didn't sponge any of the soft sky. We left it in its natural state. Let's go ahead and fold over our card base. Okay, and go ahead and crease it. Alrighty, let's start with this here. So let's go ahead and grab that and our snail, and then right opposite of our flowers, so over here and over here, I'm going to flip that, and I'm going to put some adhesive on there and on there. Okay, so once again we have adhesive here and here. Then I am going to put this down. I'm going to do that from the front so I can see what I'm doing. I want to see what the doily looks like. We want it to just be ever so slightly peeking out like that. And then we'll do the same thing up here. So ever so slightly just peeking out from around the corner like that. Alrighty. Now what we're going to do is flip that over, and let's get some adhesive down on our sides. Like, oh, I should know better than to come at my doilies like that with adhesive, because they don't play. They really don't. Okay. Alright, so I have my adhesive. Now, I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to ever so slightly, and I'm going to, well, you can see I was going to layer this, so you can kind of see how I'm doing this. So ever so slightly like this, just offsetting it like so. There. Okay, so that's what we have. See that? Now we're going to flip this thing around, and we are going to put some snail on the back side of that. And let's go ahead and grab our card base, and we shall put this down on the front of our card like so. Isn't that lovely? Let's go ahead and get our snail, and let's just put some down the center there. We are going to have to perform a little bit of surgery on here, okay, because this is way too long and I do want it to fit in an envelope. So I am going to kind of eyeball from edge to edge, and I can kind of see where I need to cut. And let me grab my scissors and I'll show you. So right where my finger is where I need to cut. And you'll see that if I cut this way, let's just do that, and I'll fix it in a minute. Let's just get it off, okay? So I went ahead and cut that away. Now I'm going to go back and carefully snip those little edges so we're mimicking this side. You see that? And you can actually kind of make this whatever size you need it to be, okay? So now we're going to put this right on the middle of our card. We're going to angle it just like our card is angled, the front. Okay, I did use some of my liquid multi-purpose glue, and I did, because I did want these sides to sit flat. So I just put a little dab on each of my ends and held it down ever so slightly. And again, your acrylic blocks are wonderful for that. Hold it in place while the glue dries. So yeah, so just a little bit of glue on each of my ends and an acrylic block. So there is that. Next we are going to take our ovals. We're going to flip over our stitched shape oval, and we're going to put some snail on that, and we'll layer it on top of my scalloped oval. Okay. Oh, that was not a good layering job. Let me try that again. That's better. Alright, so let's get this back over here, and then what we're going to do is to put a little more adhesive down so that we can grab our lovely little Flourish from the Flourish die, our little leaves. We're going to lay that right there, and we'll do this one on the opposite end like so. And then let me make sure that is where I want it. That looks good to me. I'm going to flip my oval over and grab my dimensionals, and we're just going to put a couple on the top and on the bottom, maybe one on the middle. Let's put that right here like that, so it holds down our leaves just a little extra. Never hurt by giving your cards a little extra. Alright, so I'm peeling off the backings from my dimensionals, and then I'm just going to lay that right on the front of my card like so. And there you have it. Super duper easy, super duper quick, and super duper elegant. So make sure to jot down the supply list down below, then head on over to my website at withhisgifts.com and place your order today so you can make these gorgeous cards at home. And that's all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video tutorial, please leave me a comment down below, like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Until next time, thank you and have a great day.